Hey. Hope you're good. Hope you're good. Hey, listen, um, as usual, had somebody kind of ask me about this, what this segue is about. It says starting soon. We start at 8 o'clock. Um, which was a very good question. This gives people an opportunity to sign on. Sometimes folks have glitches with their computers and stuff like that. The internet's not doing what it's supposed to do, but we'll be ready to go in just a few minutes. So giving folks a chance to sign on. I got some music for you. Got some new stuff, new copyright music for you to check out. Think I hit the right button. Anyway, I'm blessed. I hope you're blessed. Enjoy this. I got something to drink. It's got some vitamin stuff in it and all that, but I want something else, right? So I will be back in just a minute. Love you. Man, this is gonna be a barn burner tonight. I'm telling you, man, oh my goodness. I can't wait. I've made so many adjustments to get this ready for you. You're gonna have you'll see. You'll see. I'll be right back. Love you. See you in a minute. I'm thirsty. All right. Didn't have anything cold. I don't like to water stuff down with ice. Oh my goodness. Corvette clock says it's time to go, but the digital clock, satellite clock, says, oh, there it is. 8 o'clock. Not that far off. Corvette clock kind of blessed us tonight. It's off sometimes. Hey, but you know what? While I'm getting this together for us, let me do a little bit of a kind of a station identification, okay? Because, and what I'm talking about is technology. You know, I fool with this stuff all the time, and there are other people who watch me that do as well. But you got to think about the people that don't, right? That aren't familiar with the way live streaming works. You know, when you're live streaming something, until I get on, you're not on, right? Until I'm on, you're not on. And which means I got to get myself signed on prior to. I can't just sign on at 8 and start running my mouth, right? Because it prevents you from being in a position to get yourself together. And I don't want to have already given some information that might be pertinent, like a nice welcome, and you haven't had an opportunity, you know, to sign on yet, and you're trying to get it together. All right. So anyway, again, welcome. You know, down here in the manly cave. Glad that you're with me. We're gonna have a great time tonight. I promise you, this is going to be absolutely fascinating. It is my goal. I always tell you to make you the smartest person in the room as it pertains to this topic. I don't know everything, but I know some things, and I know them very well, right? So the goal is to make sure that you are well versed on what it is we're talking about. So welcome to the Apologetics channel. You are down here once again, as I said, you're down here in the man cave with me. I'm here every Monday and every Wednesday at 8 o'clock. We are back in the game. All right. Now, we're on Facebook and we're on YouTube. Had some friends that were saying, I'm going to watch you tonight on YouTube. So glad that you're doing that. All right. If you happen to be watching us on YouTube, I'm letting you know that we are also on Facebook. If you happen to be watching us on Facebook, I'm letting you know we're also on YouTube. And if you are on either one of them, we definitely want you to share the information. Share it. Share it. On YouTube, it's an absolute blessing to me if you like and you subscribe. All right? I need all the help I can get. So please do that. It helps me to be able to monetize things that puts me in a position, you know, because it takes time to put these together. No matter how much I've studied, I got to refresh, all that kind of stuff. So really want you to like and subscribe when you catch us on YouTube. And thank you so much, so much for being a part of what we're doing. A couple sources I want to mention to you tonight that I think are important. And this will give me an opportunity to kind of segue into some futuristic type stuff. So the book at the top there, and I own it. It's tracing civilization from 4,000 BC, 10,000 BC. I mean, it takes you way back. And it's very important that you get a piece of it. All right? It's a good book. I've learned so much from it. The piece that I've used it for has been more in the Reconstruction era, that kind of thing. There's a reason why I mentioned the 4,000 piece, but we'll deal. I'm not going to get into the book. The other thing that I'm going to do, moving on quickly, is the Bible that I use, the African Study Bible, which was a gift last year for my birthday, but just an absolute great blessing to me. There are other good Bibles. One of the things, though, that the African Bible helps you with, and also I have this. And I'll be talking more about this later. I don't want to get too much into this, but the African Bible commentary, I was just given this, and one of the reasons it's a great blessing to me is because these things are coming from an African perspective. People kind of closer to the source in a way. But all PhD scholars from Africa. I mean, good work that has been done. I've enjoyed the book so much so far, and the thing about it is, you need these scholarly resources to help shore up the information that you're looking into, and you need something when you're doing that you can trust. You can Google anything. I've told you that before. If you have a particular thought or want to believe a particular thing, whether it's true or not, you can Google it. And somebody's thought, thinks that way, right? But that's not going to make it right. So you need resources that you can trust, and I hope that you will take advantage of the resources that I share with you, so that you can get this information and get it. It's more than just in your head, right? It's more than just in your head. It's something that you can hold on to and that you can use. All right. Okay. So I've got something I want to show you tonight. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and I've got something I want to show you tonight that I'm also going to show you again on Monday. And I want to make a point before we get into the African kings and talking about that. There's a point that I want to make that I think is very, very crucial to our discussion in this area. So let's watch this and we will talk on the other side.
I think she's brown.
Does she look like you?
Yeah.
How does she look like you?
Well, she's brown. Well, she has brown skin.
Ooh.
She's like me.
Right.
She's like me.
I know, right?
Brown area.
What do you think about the Ariel that you just saw?
I liked her.
Why?
She's beautiful. And I don't know how she's singing so beautiful and lightly. And yeah.
She's beautiful and she looks like what? She looks like you.
Yeah, she's brown like you. We're gonna go see it when it comes out in the theater.
Yes!
So we're going to see The Little Mermaid when it comes out. High five. Part of that
So why do you think, well, let me say this first. There are other videos that are out showing the reaction of young black children when they see that the Little Mermaid is a brown-skinned, a person of color. And the impact that they're filming, the impact that it's having on them to see somebody that looks like them on the screen. There's two things that I think that I need to bring out. This, let me do the negative first. This is why they don't want Black history taught in schools. Because you're affecting the caste system. You're encouraging people. See, that's why they didn't want to let slaves read. That's why they sat in congregations when preachers were preaching over a congregation of people. The only way they sometimes could communicate with each other is songs like Wade in the Water when they were trying to escape from slavery. You know, when you step outside of this country and you come in and you don't come from oppression, there are so many things that become, and I've had these conversations, that become obvious to people. It's obvious that there's racism. We're not in a post-racial. It's so ridiculous. And so the positive side of this is when people know, they feel a connection, they know their history, they see someone that looks like them doing something that's positive. If you teach the minds of children, black children, things that black people have accomplished and were successful at, and sometimes in the midst of all kinds of troubles, that encourages them that they can do it too. But when you don't, you get a lot of what we have now in our ghettos and things like that. It makes the system perpetuates itself, and then you create a situation where it's hard for people to rise up out of those conditions, and then you blame them for that. Now, I got a rabbit trail I could go down, but I'm not going to, telling you where ghettos came from, how they were established, why they were established, and why they are still successful from 1880 to today. It worked. So tonight, I really, really, really have wrestled with this thing in terms of how to teach you about African kings. And the reason that I've struggled in the way that I have is because, I had to choose between bombarding you. See, there's hundreds of them. And so my choice is, do I bombard you, with all of this information? Or do I show you just a few? Well, that few went from 4 down to just 2. It is very important for people to know, and I boiled it down to 2 because I want you to remember this. Democracy came out of Africa. Greece took it from them. First, Greeks were black anyway, but lesson for another time. Blow your mind with that later. First, Romans, black. I'll blow your mind with that later. It is important for you to remember, to know. I'm always inviting. Check me out. Find out whether or not I'm telling you the truth, or am I making this up? There's nothing militant or ungodly in my approach. I am simply giving you the history. And science and DNA, science and the Bible agree. Buildings, wall structures, the first castles, democracy, strength in politics, at a time when Europe was in abject poverty. Places like West Africa were flourishing. So the question people ask is, why don't we know that? You don't know because This map is a great example. Same way with America, in that everything there you see that has color that matches something on the side, and I'm going to make that what's there on the bottom left larger, but everything, every color on this map represents a nation of people that came in to steal Africa's resources. And sometimes they tried and failed and came back again and all of that. But to the victor goes the spoil. To the victor goes the narrative. I got this from Roland Martin. Let me make sure I give proper credit here. But you can find this with other sources because I have it. When you go into when a nation is conquered, when they break into a city, the first thing they take is the guns. They take the weapons. What's the second thing they take? You would think the economy, but it's not. They take over the media in whatever form it is distributed, to put out there. Why? Because if you control the media, you control the people. You control how they think. You can indoctrinate them. And it has happened in this world over and over again. In our American society, for sure. It happened in Germany. It's happening in Russia right now. When you control the media. So when these places in Africa were conquered by these various groups, they were able to control the story to tell it or not tell it. And no king is going to talk about his losses. He's only going to talk about when he won. That's why there are hundreds of African kings and rulers, pharaohs, that you've never heard of. One of the things that came out of that, and I've shown you this information before, the term Middle East did not exist prior to the 1850s. Alfred Thayer Mahan popularized the term in 1902. His geopolitical term, that definition can change at any time. But the point is, the reason they created the term Middle East was to separate Africa from a particular territory. First of all, to separate it from Egypt. Egypt is in the continent of Africa. So is Israel. I'll get to some of that on Monday. Oh, you come back Monday at 8 o'clock. I'll get to some of that. But the point is that you have this class that has this facade, I like to say, of being the ruling class, because God ain't letting you get away with none of this mistreatment of other people. Let's not forget that while we're looking at the oppression that's happened. But the point that I'm making, though, is you have this separation and this burying of these wonderful stories of all of these kings, some of which are mentioned in the Bible, and we're going to deal with it. We're going to talk about Taharka, 23rd dynasty, right there in Scripture. The mentioning of his name put fear in the Assyrians. The mentioning his name, black ruler of Egypt. They had chariots. They were afraid of them. But the stories don't get told simply because whoever wins controls the narrative. But let's undo that, people. Colonization has happened. There's nothing we can do about that. We can't do anything about the past, but we can't change the past, but we can look back at the past and say, yeah, Great Britain may have ruled, and everything in red is Great Britain. They may have ruled most of the world. But that doesn't mean that Africa doesn't have a buried, rich history. You with me? All right. That's our foundation. Let's dive in. Let's talk about Mansa Musa. It's the king. I believe the word is Mai or Maya, of meaning king of Mali. They were the richest people on earth. Now, the richest man ever lived, God put in scripture, is Solomon. So I don't know what Solomon had, but in terms of the people, including the king, there's that picture up there top left, he's holding a piece of gold. He was known for that. He was also known for his generosity. He didn't just consume it all on his own lust, as the Bible talks about. A wealthy man sharing it. Check this story out. 1324, he had a pilgrimage to Mecca. He had tens of thousands of people that traveled with him. And it is said that there were 500 men or travelers. We're not sure if they're all men. I'm sorry for that. Dressed in silk, fine clothing, 500. Carrying golden staffs and carrying his gold. 500. And carrying the gold. In addition to that, they had an unnumberable number, it sounds funny, of camels and horses that carried gold as this man traversed from West Africa. Let me help you out here. As he moved from West Africa going to Mecca, carrying gold. I mean, who knows how many billions of dollars that would be today. Mali today still has rich gold deposits. Still today, if you go to Mali, or you talk about gold bullion and all of that, Mali has more gold than anybody. Mali also has something else that's very special. Mali has 24 karat gold. And so before I finish this story about Mansa Musa, my uncle had a piece. Well, let me say this. Mali's the only place in the world you can find 24 karat gold. And my uncle had a necklace. My Uncle Randy had a necklace that you could actually, it would bend. There was so much purity, it would bend. Right? He would shape it, didn't mess it up. It was a necklace kind of like this, and he could shape it with his hand. Gold. So, ironically, yesterday, I was getting a ride home from Enterprise, and I was with a young lady who is from Mali. Well, the conversation started off, I said, I hear an accent. Where's your accent? Where are you from? And she said, West Africa, figuring, I guess, I wouldn't know what in the world she was talking about. I said, well, I've been to Africa. I've been to Kenya. And I told her a little bit of my Kenyan journey, speaking to 15 million people over there on Kenyan national television, radio. I said, so I just wanted her to understand I'm familiar with the continent. And so then she said she was from Mali. I said, I was just reading this morning, refreshing myself and getting up to date on Musa, and she said, "Oh yeah," and she went off. We went off into this story about the gold, and I did not know about the 24 karat gold that's there. She said, "I just got back. I was there 3 weeks ago, and that's where I'm from, of course." And she was talking about the amount of gold deposits that are there, and that Mali still has more gold than anywhere in the world. Of course, somebody's gonna want to conquer all of that and cause all kinds of trouble. But it was a beautiful story. It was like you're studying something, and then you kind of get something as close to the horse's mouth as you possibly can. It was a wonderful conversation. So the markets were affected because as they went through Timbuktu and other places like that, as they traveled on their way to Mecca, all these people traveling with their king, they gave away so much gold to the poor to set up schools and worship centers and all that. They gave away so much gold that it affected the economy. And a girl was actually telling me, she said the economy is still affected by that today. It lowered the value of gold because there was such an abundance of it, because of this man's generosity. Now just pause for a second and understand what I'm telling you. The richest group of people that have ever walked the face of this earth were dark-skinned people. Now, I'm hoping that's hitting you like it should. I'll give you a minute. I'll give you a minute. Let that sink in. Got it? Did it assimilate and accommodate? Let's talk about King Nakanja Vika. Vika. I'm going to stick with the Vika. So I don't mess his name up. This is a story that I must admit blew my mind. This man's organizational skills, his political skills, his battle skills, his battle knowledge as a field general, his determination, his knowing how to work things in and out. I heard a story I've never heard before. Nothing like it. Now I'm going to tell you. So the Portuguese, picture on the top right. So the Portuguese come to the Congo and they convert many of the people to Christians. There's trade that's going on. There's some well-to-do people that are living in the Congo, Portuguese people that are living there. And there are some good folks. They're not liking some of the attitude the other Portuguese have towards the indigenous folks. But there is a battle that takes place in 1622 in Umbundi and Umbunbi. And what happens is the Portuguese take 1,000 slaves. Now there's an uprising amongst the people like, okay, well, we can't have this. I mean, King, we love you, But you've welcomed these people in with open arms, and we need to do something about these folks. And so he protects the people the Portuguese people that are trying to do right, that aren't a part of the mess. See, everybody's not bad, right? We got black and white issues in our country, but everybody's not bad. So he moves them to a safe place, and he protects them. But King Vika led his troops in battle at Bandu Kasi, and he won. Now, but that wasn't enough. He understood who he was dealing with. I wish other nations had done this, and maybe some did. Maybe I'm going to get blown away with their stories. But under the banner, you see there on the right, he goes, he defeats these people, and then he establishes a strong relationship with the Dutch, who at this time are strong militarily, and you know, there's wealth there, there's power that they have. He establishes a relationship with the Dutch, and he uses it as leverage, political leverage. And he put such fear in the Portuguese that had taken these slaves to Brazil that they sent back 55 of them. But he continues with his military, not using the military, but with the potential of, you know, Portugal getting into another fight, and this man might defeat you again, this strong king, and the Dutch may join him. There's so much fear that over several years, the Portuguese strap in, import 1,000+ slaves back to the Congo. I don't even know what to do with that. There is no story that I have ever heard, none that I've ever heard, where somebody brought slaves back. I've not heard. I mean, I've heard the Middle Passage and all the people that died, you know, because the real story is, you know, about 20 million Africans died during slavery, being brought over here. Yeah, 6 million died being thrown off ships and never arrived here because of those conditions. But the book that I showed you, Chancellor Williams' book, talks about the fact that for every 2 million that were caught in Africa before they ever left, another million died. 20 million. Story that doesn't get told, but here's my point. There's no other story that I've ever read or ever heard, and what joy it brings me to know that somebody was strong enough militarily, was strong enough politically, that knew how to get influence with the right people, that somebody, the Portuguese, who brought people back, and not just anywhere in Africa. They brought them home. They brought them back to the Congo. I don't know how that hits you, but I've never heard anything like this before. '55, but the continued political prowess, the threat that this black king might do worse than he'd already done in the battle at Kasi that he won. He might do worse. That threat made them send his people back. And it is stories like that. There's a reason why I couldn't just run through a bunch of stories tonight. I want this to sink in. I want you to remember the wealthy people in Mali. I want you to remember, as decimated and poverty-stricken as the Congo is now, there was a time before they were colonized and all jacked up, because the Portuguese did come back. But that there was a time that slaves that had been stolen from the west coast of Africa were returned. I'm Pastor Jackie Jackson. I hope your night is blessed. I hope you are encouraged that there are people that look like you that have done great and powerful and mighty things.